After my brother got into a car accident, he started insisting he was a time traveler from the future. He ran into my office and yelled at my ice-cold boss, brother-in-law. I was horrified. I had just gotten an earful from Liam Sterling for a work mistake. If I made him even angrier now, I'd be lucky to keep my job. I tried to drag my brother out of the building, but he latched onto Liam's belt. Brother-in-law, you still haven't asked her out? Are you a ninja or something? You have my sister's name tattooed on your lower back. What are you even waiting for? The kid was spouting the weirdest nonsense, and I didn't understand a word of it. Liam looked furious, his face bright red. That night, I wrote my resignation letter with a heart of stone. Then I happened to see the texts Liam was sending my brother. How many kids do your sister and I have in the future? Do they look more like her or me? A divorce crisis? Is someone hitting on her? Who is that scumbag? I had just gotten out of my boss's office after a lecture when my mom called. Mom, is Chris awake? Chris is my little brother, a senior in high school. 2 nights ago, he was riding his bike home from a late study session and got into a car accident. He'd been in the hospital for 2 days now. If I hadn't been so worried about him, I wouldn't have accidentally sent my boss a text meant for a client. That's why I got chewed out for so long. He's awake. He's awake. My mom said, her voice filled with excitement. The doctor is checking on him now. How does he seem? I pressed. His eyes, his hearing. Is everything okay? Does he recognize you? My mom was silent for 2 seconds. I panicked. Is he deaf or blind? Neither. It's just. My mom hesitated. He's saying some very strange things. Suddenly, there was a commotion on her end. I heard my brother yell excitedly, could I be the chosen one? Mom! Are you on the phone with my sister? Give it to me. After a few seconds of rustling, I heard his voice. Sis. Listen to me. I'm from the year 2035. I time traveled back. Just listen to me, and I promise I'll make you all rich. I hung up the phone, my face a blank mask. Does this kid think I have all the time in the world? The company was having some cash flow problems lately, and the boss was not in a good mood. The entire office felt like it was walking on eggshells. When I returned to my desk, my coworkers gave me sympathetic looks. A friendly colleague whispered, Emma, you okay? I blinked. I'm fine. She gave me a thumbs up. You've got nerves of steel. After getting chewed out by Liam the Demon for that long, you can still keep a straight face. Liam the Demon. That was their nickname for our boss, Liam Sterling. The second the words left her mouth, she glanced behind me and shut up instantly. Liam was walking out of his office. He was tall, with broad shoulders and long legs. His features were flawless, and he even managed to make a boring business suit look incredibly sharp and, well, off limits. He was on the phone as he walked into the elevator. Once the elevator doors closed, the tension in the office evaporated. Looks like Liam the Demon solved the cash flow problem. He's a real workhorse, that one. Tell me about it. He works us to the bone, but he works himself even harder. Hey, Emma, didn't you go to the same college as Liam? Wasn't he an upperclassman? The topic suddenly shifted to me. I nodded. Was he like this back in college? I paused. Like what? My coworker thought for a moment before landing on a phrase, so cold and all business. Liam was indeed an upperclassman from my college, and he was also the president of the Student Volunteer Association I had joined. We hadn't spent much time together, and I didn't consider us acquaintances by any stretch. So, I didn't want to just start gossiping about his past. I laughed off my coworkers' questions and headed to the break room for some water. They were still chatting outside. My mind, however, started to drift. A moment ago, an answer to their question had popped into my head. Was Liam always so cold and all business in college? I didn't think so. Not just back then, but even now. I glanced around the office, a thought stirring in my mind. Our company was a startup, as new as they come. But the break room was never short on supplies. After an intern fainted from low blood sugar, a special spot was cleared out and stocked with chocolate and all kinds of candy. The women's restroom was always stocked with emergency pads and tampons. When it came to work dinners and schmoozing, Liam always went himself if he could. If he couldn't avoid bringing someone, he'd always ask one of the guys to go with him. These were all small things, so no one really noticed. Liam was actually trying his best to carry all the pressure on his own shoulders. Liam returned before the end of the workday. He looked relaxed. A coworker whispered, "The problem's solved. We don't have to work overtime tonight." It was better than just no overtime. A few moments later, we all got a text telling us we had a paid day off tomorrow. The office was silent for 2 seconds, then erupted. I love my boss. I love Leap Tech. I love Liam the Demon. Just as that last cheer rang out, Liam happened to walk out of his office. The person who shouted it froze, mouth agape, before burying their head in a pile of documents. Liam wasn't angry. He just gave us all a cool glance. Go home early. His gaze finally landed on me. I quickly nodded. Yes, sir. If the boss was leaving, what were we worker bees still doing here? I immediately started packing up my things to make a run for it. As I stood behind Liam waiting for the elevator, my mom called. Your brother's been discharged. He said he's going to pick you up from work. This kid. Pick me up? I frowned. Where is he now? He should be close to your office. She said Chris had snuck out while she was handling the discharge paperwork, leaving her only a text message. I felt my world go dark. Okay, I get it. I'll bring him home. After I hung up, the elevator arrived. I followed Liam inside. The elevator was small. We stood on opposite corners, and even though we were as far apart as possible, it still felt cramped. I stared at his back, lost in thought. Suddenly, I heard his voice. Is your boyfriend coming to pick you up? Boyfriend? I was taken aback for a second. Thinking back to my phone call, I realized he must have misunderstood. I rushed to explain, no, that was my brother. Liam's slightly furrowed brow relaxed almost imperceptibly. He nodded. Ah, my mistake. Silence fell again. I watched the floor display, my eyes fixed on the number as it slowly ticked down to 1. When the elevator doors opened, I immediately spotted someone with a bandaged head looking around the lobby. Chris. I hurried over to him. What are you doing at my office? Sis. Chris looked at me with delight. It's so weird seeing you this young again. I can't get used to it. I stared at him. Have you lost your mind? Sis, I have a secret to tell you. Chris leaned in and whispered conspiratorially, I'm from the year 2035. I time traveled. I looked him over very seriously. Did the doctors not suggest a psych evaluation? How could they just let him out like this? Seeing my disbelief, he started anxiously scratching his head. His eyes scanned the lobby and landed on Liam, who was talking to the receptionist. His face lit up. Isn't that? He pointed at Liam, his words stumbling out. I grabbed his hand. Don't point. That's my boss. Before I could finish, a deafening shout exploded next to my ear. Brother-in-law. Chris yanked his hand free and ran toward Liam. He threw his arms around him, patting him firmly on the back a few times. Brother-in-law. We got into that car crash after drinking, right? Did you travel back to 2025 with me? I was so scared being here all by myself. Thank God you're here. With that, he cupped Liam's face and planted a loud smooch on his cheek. I was petrified. My co-workers, who had just stepped out of the elevator and witnessed the whole thing, were also petrified. Liam stared at him, stunned, then looked at me. He quickly snapped out of it and broke free from Chris's embrace. Struggling to maintain his last shred of composure, he asked through gritted teeth, "Could you please tell me who you are?" "It's me. Chris." Chris pointed at me. "Your wife's brother. Your most loyal brother-in-law." Everyone's eyes immediately shot toward me. My face flushed red as I grabbed the back of Chris's collar, trying to drag him out. But he was 17 now, and a lot stronger than me. He broke free, plopped down on the floor, and hugged Liam's legs. My coworkers stared, completely forgetting about going home. Someone even sneakily took out their phone and started taking pictures. I couldn't take it anymore. "Chris. What the hell is wrong with you? You don't get it." He yelled back, his eyes turning red. He looked even more wrong than I felt. I got zapped back in time out of nowhere, right before my freaking SATs. "Do you think I can understand any of that gibberish now? And they expect me to take the test. They're trying to kill me. Mom doesn't believe me, you don't believe me, no one believes me. You have no idea how much I'm freaking out." Chris wailed, then turned his tearful cries to Liam. "Brother-in-law, you really don't recognize me? How come we were in the same accident, but I'm the only one who came back?" Liam finally seemed to piece together what was happening. He looked at me, then at Chris, his expression strange. Then he asked the question everyone in the room was dying to know. "What? Did you call me?" "Brother-in-law," Chris said matter-of-factly. "You and my sister get married in 2031 and have your daughter, Kiana, in 2032. Oh man, speaking of Kiana, that little hellion is a demon child, oof." I clapped a hand over his mouth. "Shut up. If you say one more word, we're both dead." Chris shut up. Apparently, staying alive was more important than narrating his fanfiction out loud. Ha 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 ha. I felt like I was about to lose my mind. I mumbled a chaotic apology to Liam and turned to leave. Chris scrambled up from the floor to follow me. Maybe because he was still recovering from the accident, a wave of dizziness hit him. He instinctively grabbed the nearest thing for support. Liam's belt. And in the process, he untucked Liam's shirt. Chris immediately apologized. "Sorry, future brother-in-law." He was being polite, even trying to tuck Liam's shirt back in for him. An exasperated laugh escaped Liam as he stepped back. I stood at the door, watching this circus unfold, wanting to laugh but unable to. "Whoa." Chris suddenly stared at Liam's lower back. "You've got a tattoo back there." Through all this drama, Liam had kept his composure. But after hearing what Chris just said, his expression finally changed. He casually threw on his jacket, ignoring Chris completely. But Chris, staring at him in astonishment, dropped another bombshell. "You got my sister's name tattooed on you back in 2025? And you waited until 2030 to confess? Are you a ninja or something, man?" Boom. I felt like a lightning bolt had just struck me, leaving me scorched inside and out. Why? Why did Chris have to say so many bizarre things in my office? Why was he trying to ruin the career I had just started to build? Could he know that I fed him dog poop when we were kids? My head was buzzing. Meanwhile, Liam was looking at Chris, his eyes wide with disbelief. He subconsciously glanced at me. But he quickly looked away. Slowly, a blush spread across his face, creeping up to his ears and neck. It made his usual icy expression suddenly come alive. "It's over. The boss is clearly beyond furious. Ha ha ha, I might as well quit before he has the chance to fire me. What do I do now? Only one thing to do. Fake a faint." I rolled my eyes and collapsed onto the floor. "Sis. What's wrong? Emma. Emma. Emma." Everyone scrambled to help me into a chair. Liam's voice was tense. "I'll go get the car. You guys take care of her." "Of course." Every boss is terrified of an employee having a medical emergency at the office. The moment he left, I popped my eyes open. A coworker stared. Huh? Please tell the boss I said thank you. I grabbed Chris by the ear and bolted, sprinting like I was in a 100-meter dash. I dove into a taxi waiting by the curb. Driver, go, go, go. As the office building shrank in the rearview mirror, I let out a long sigh and slumped into the seat. Finally. I survived. Chris was dead silent the whole way home. When we got there, he scurried into his room and locked the door. My mom was confused. What's wrong with him? I said, Mom, you should probably hide all the sharp objects in the house. I'm afraid I might lose control and make myself an only child. Without another word, my mom went straight to the kitchen to hide the knives. I walked to Chris's door and knocked. Come out. You owe me an explanation. Chris's voice trembled. But you won't believe me if I explain. I'm sorry, sis, I really am. I didn't mean for any of that to happen. Just calm down first. We can talk when you're not so angry. My arm fell limply to my side. I was tired. So tired. I floated back to my room like a ghost and sat in a daze for a while. Thinking about everything that had just happened at the office, it all felt so absurd. Chris said Liam had my name tattooed on his lower back, that he liked me, that we would get married in the future. Ridiculous. Back in college, Liam was the one who set me up with my first boyfriend. How could he possibly like me? I sighed, opened my laptop, and decided to draft a resignation letter, just in case. As the screen lit up, several message notifications popped up. It was from Chris's messaging account. My mom had confiscated his phone for his final exams a couple of days ago. He must have logged in on my computer while using it for online classes. I casually clicked on it, about to log him out, when I saw the latest message. Liam, is this Chris? Brother-in-law open up, future brother-in-law. Ha ha ha, I can't believe your number hasn't changed in all these years. Good thing I memorized it. Liam, the tattoo on my back. How did you know about it? My eyes went wide. I leaned closer to the screen, reading that sentence over and over 3 times. Brother-in-law open up, I'm from the year 2035. In the future, we go to the sauna together all the time. Of course I know. Brother-in-law open up, brother-in-law, do you believe me? Liam was silent for a long time before sending a single word, yes. At the same time, I heard a shriek from the next room. Finally. Someone finally believes me. I sat at my computer, deep in thought. I swear I wasn't trying to snoop, but the person on the other end was Liam. My ice-cold boss. The temptation was just too great. In the few minutes I was zoned out, they had already exchanged several more messages. Liam, are your sister and I really going to get married? Brother-in-law open up, of course. I was the one who carried her to the wedding car on my back. Liam, how many kids will we have? Do they look like her or me? Brother-in-law open up, just Kiana. She looks like you. Bro, my sister hemorrhaged badly when she gave birth to her. You were a wreck at the hospital, crying your eyes out and saying you'd never let her have another kid. The other side went silent again. Brother-in-law open up, actually, you and my sister are really happy together. It was all that guy's fault. Otherwise, you two never would have started talking about divorce. This time, Liam replied instantly, divorce? What happened? Who is that guy? Is some scumbag hitting on your sister? I started to suspect the person behind this account wasn't actually Liam. How could he say something like that? I didn't know what to feel as I watched their conversation unfold. I recognized all the words, but when put together, I wasn't sure I understood what they meant. Brother-in-law open up, I don't know the details. I think it had something to do with my sister's first love. Brother-in-law open up, future brother-in-law, can't you just ask her out sooner? If you use these extra years to build your relationship, that damn first love won't stand a chance of wrecking your marriage. Liam, but your sister doesn't like me. Brother-in-law open up, who says? She still has your old student ID photo from college. I shot up from my chair, sprinted out the door, kicked open Chris's room, and snatched the phone out of his hands. I held down on the message and deleted it. All in one smooth motion. Chris cowered on his bed. Sis. What are you doing? How did you know I have Liam's student ID photo? I demanded, grabbing his collar. Have you been going through my things? Chris blinked, then it dawned on him. You were spying on my chat with Liam? After half an hour of intense discussion, Chris and I sat in silence, facing each other. I had to admit, I was starting to believe his whole time travel story. But I still wasn't fully convinced. What are the next winning lottery numbers? Chris, you think I'd know that? What's the essay topic for this year's SATs? Chris, I forgot. Me, fine, I believe you're from the future. Me, with your brain, it's totally normal that you wouldn't remember. I warned him again and again not to talk to Liam anymore. Only after he promised did I float back to my room, my steps unsteady. I fell backward onto my bed. My mind was a complete mess. Liam likes me? Likes me? This was too surreal. Physical exhaustion soon overwhelmed my mental excitement. I lay on the bed and, before long, drifted into a deep sleep. I had a dream about something that happened a long time ago, back in college. When I first started, the only club I joined was the Student Volunteer Association. In my free time, I liked to be alone in the library. One time, I had too many cold drinks, and my period came early. My pants were inevitably stained. As I sat slumped over my desk, mortified, I heard someone tap on the edge of the table. When I looked up, the guy was already walking away. He had left his jacket on the table, along with an emergency pad. He didn't leave a note, but a student ID card had fallen out of his pocket. That's how I learned his name and major. Dylan. He was in the same program as the Student Volunteer Association president I'd just met, Liam Sterling. I heard they were even roommates. I took the washed jacket to the next club meeting and asked Liam to return it for me. Liam's face was always expressionless. He took the jacket and just gave a curt nod. But because of that incident, I started to develop a crush on Dylan, this upperclassman I had never even met. I secretly checked his class schedule, quietly asked around if he had a girlfriend, and casually hung out by the basketball court, trying to engineer a chance encounter. When I finally worked up the courage to ask Liam about Dylan's interests, Liam, who was usually a man of few words, talked to me for a long time that afternoon. Finally, he asked me directly, "Do you like him?" My mind went blank, and I just nodded numbly. Liam was silent for 2 seconds, then asked, "Do you need my help?" He played matchmaker, and a very good one at that. 2 months later, Dylan and I officially started dating. He was my first love. I cherished him and our relationship. The beginning of our relationship was undeniably sweet, but underneath the sweetness, I always felt exhausted. Dylan and I had completely different personalities. He was a total extrovert who loved socializing, parties, and helping people. So much so that when I brought up our first meeting, he looked completely lost. He had helped so many people, I was just one of them. I considered myself a low-energy person. Forcing myself to fit into Dylan's vibrant life left me drained and depleted. Our breakup was amicable. After we broke up, we gradually lost touch. I naturally labeled Liam as my ex-boyfriend's roommate. To make things less awkward for myself, I quit the volunteer association and drew a clear line between us. The next day, I slept in until the sun was high in the sky. The work group chat was dead silent. I figured they must have created a new chat without me and Liam, where they were probably gossiping up a storm. I got up and washed my face. Just then, Chris came out of his room. "Sis. Where are you going today?" "Out with Freya." Freya is my best friend. I had a lot on my mind and needed a strategist to help me sort things out. But after I said that, Chris's face started turning a weird shade of red. I frowned at him. What's with you? Chris, sis, can I come with you? No, I said without hesitation. He wouldn't let it go, pestering me even after I had finished my makeup. I couldn't stand it anymore. Give me one good reason. Chris's expression turned serious. If I tell you, will you believe me? I nodded. Chris took a deep breath. In the future, Freya is my wife. Splash. I threw a cup of water in his face. Who do you think you are, even dreaming of my best friend? Chris fell silent. I spent the afternoon chatting with Freya at a coffee shop, and I felt a lot better. Why are you overthinking it so much? She said. The future is unknown and uncontrollable. Just go with the flow. Don't waste your energy worrying about things that haven't happened yet. I thought she had a very good point. The next day at work, I felt much calmer. Although the subtle, probing glances from my coworkers still made me a little uncomfortable. But once Liam arrived, a lot of that pressure shifted off me. They stared shamelessly at his lower back, their gazes so intense it was like they were trying to physically lift his shirt to get a look. Liam acted completely normal. Rock solid. I, on the other hand, was obviously being awkward. All day, I did my best to avoid being alone with him, even avoiding eye contact. In the evening, after I finished my work and was packing up to leave, I got a message from him. Wait for me. I need to talk to you about something. I had just stood up, but I plopped right back down in my chair. I didn't have to wait long. Liam came out, and I followed him into the elevator. It was empty. We stood side by side. I was the one to break the silence. Sir, was there something you needed to talk to me about privately? Liam glanced at me. Yes. It's personal. He pressed the button for the underground parking garage. I'll drive you home. We can talk on the way. Liam lived in the complex right next to mine, very close by. As I sat in his passenger seat, my mind was a total blank. I was terrified he had taken Chris's nonsense to heart and was about to say something rash. I was afraid our purely professional relationship would change, making things at the office incredibly awkward. Fortunately, Liam seemed much more reliable than Chris. He drove steadily, merging smoothly into traffic. I figured that even if he had something to say, it would be tactful, gentle, and leave room for retreat. You know, don't you? Liam said, his eyes on the road ahead, his voice calm and unhurried. I like you. What happened with your brother is certainly bizarre, but I believe him. Since he's brought some things out into the open, I don't see any point in hiding it anymore. Liam glanced at the rearview mirror, then quickly looked away. His grip on the steering wheel tightened, his knuckles turning white. My gaze fell on his hands, and it hit me. He wasn't as calm as he looked. He was nervous, too. I feigned composure and asked, since when? Your freshman year, Liam said, a faint smile on his lips. You all came to interview for the Student Volunteer Association. It was just a formality, but you looked so nervous. I gave every new applicant a bottle of water. Out of all those people, you were the only one who said thank you. I was a little stunned. Just because of that? Liam, incredible, isn't it? But yes, it was just because of that. Because of that, I started noticing you. My eyes started lingering on you longer and longer. The more I looked, the more I liked what I saw. I picked at my fingers, my face instantly turning beet red. How could the usually quiet and aloof Liam be so devastatingly direct? I turned away and rolled the window down a little. The cool wind helped clear my head, at least enough to think straight. Thank you, I said. Liam paused, then shook his head with a small laugh, as if remembering something. Later, I ran into you at the library. You were slumped over a table, and you looked like you had a stomachache. I brought you a few things, and a jacket I borrowed from my roommate. He paused and turned to look at me. Then, with a knowing look, he said, it seems you already knew about that. I nodded. I know. After Dylan and I broke up, he dated a few other girls. Meanwhile, I ran into him again because of coursework. By then, we could sit down and talk calmly, like friends. He always had a lot to say. We talked about the library, about our first meeting. It was then that Dylan finally put the pieces together. The jacket was mine, that's true, but I wasn't the one who helped you, he said frankly. Liam borrowed it from me. That's when I knew. My first love was born from a misunderstanding. After that, my feelings for Liam became complicated. Did I like him? I wouldn't go that far. But compared to others, my eyes always seemed to linger on him a little longer. He was quiet and rarely spoke to me. Whenever our eyes accidentally met, he would quickly look away. So, at the time, I assumed that Liam didn't like me. And so, I buried that little bit of a crush deep inside. After hearing my answer, Liam was quiet for a while. It was rush hour, and the traffic was stop and go. A few seconds later, we hit a long red light. The car sat in the middle of traffic, and an awkward silence filled the air. The moment the light turned green, Liam hit the gas and spoke at the same time. I thought you didn't know. And because of that, I let myself hope for too much. I froze, understanding what he meant. I twisted my fingers nervously. Liam glanced at me. Don't be nervous. I'm not asking for anything, and you don't need to give me an answer. I've told you how I feel, that's my business. When this car ride is over, you can forget everything I said. We can go back to how things were at the office. Back to how things were. I didn't doubt Liam could do it. After all, he'd been hiding it perfectly for years. But me? I couldn't. After I got home, I was in a daze for a long time. Chris walked past me. What's with you? You look like you've seen a ghost. Did brother-in-law confess? Pfft. I spat out the water I had just sipped. I whipped my head around to glare at him. You been talking to him again? Chris held up his hands. I'm innocent. It was just a guess. Sis, you're making it so obvious. He pulled up a chair next to me. I'm just curious, what are you hesitating about? Hesitating about what? So many things. I was even hesitating about whether to go to work tomorrow. It turned out my worries were for nothing. Once the company's cash flow problem was solved, the whole office was thrown into a frenzy of work. I worked non-stop for days, all thoughts of romance completely wiped from my mind. When my gossipy coworkers saw Liam call me into his office, their eyes no longer lit up with curiosity, only pity. When Liam laid into someone, he didn't care if you were a man or a woman, a human or a ghost. He didn't yell or say anything nasty, but he had a way of creating this invisible psychological pressure. The kind that would make you jolt awake in the middle of the night 3 days later. And then sit up and slap yourself. How could I have made that kind of mistake? This project was on a tight deadline. After a month of frantic work, we finally made some progress and could take a breather. Liam gave us a 2-day break. After being so mentally and physically tense, the sudden relaxation made it easy to get sick. I was a victim. I spent a day and a half of my 2-day break lying in bed, half dead. My mom was out of town, so Chris took time off to take care of me. I scolded him. You have your SATs coming up. Chris, sis, I'd rather take care of you than stare at that gibberish. Chris was at his breaking point. Having come back from 2035, he was 10 years out of high school. He had forgotten everything. He couldn't understand the material, and he couldn't learn it. I didn't have the energy to argue. Get me a glass of water. After that, I drifted off again. Chris placed a glass of water on my bedside table, then went to the kitchen to check on the soup simmering on the stove. He called out, Sis. I'm just running downstairs to take out the trash. I'll be right back. Just as Chris tossed the garbage into the dumpster, he saw a girl on the phone walking toward their building. Strange, why isn't she picking up? Freya had tried calling several times with no answer. She didn't think much of it and decided to just show up at the sick girl's door. As she approached Emma's building, she heard a few construction workers sitting on the steps whistle at her. "Hey, beautiful. How much?" Freya had a short temper and immediately fired back. The worker who had catcalled her scowled, feeling he had lost face. He shot to his feet. "Say that again. Did you drink too much toilet water?" Freya repeated, deadpan. "Did you drink too much toilet water? Did you drink too much toilet water?" I said it 3 times. What now? She had taken self-defense classes since she was a kid and was confident she could handle these guys. The man exploded, lunging forward with his hand raised to strike. Just as Freya was about to dodge, she saw a figure rush past her out of the corner of her eye, tackling the man to the ground. "Bastard. You dare mess with my wife. I'll kill you." Freya froze. Within seconds, the two were brawling on the ground. An hour later, at the hospital. Chris sat obediently in a chair, his head wrapped in gauze. Freya checked his wound, sighed in relief, and stepped back. Chris sniffed. She smelled so good. His wife smelled so good. "Freya, shouldn't you be in school, kid? My sister's sick. I was home taking care of her." Chris stared at Freya without blinking. She started to feel a little awkward. "What are you looking at me for?" "Freya, are you hurt?" "No." Freya held up her hand to show him a scrape on her wrist. "If I hadn't had to pull you out from under them, I wouldn't even have this." Chris's eyes sparkled. "You're so amazing, Freya." Freya. She needed to call Emma and ask if her brother had hit his head in that car accident. He was acting really weird. "How's your sister? How did she get such a bad flu?" "Chris, she went to the doctor and got medicine. She's sleeping now." "My sister." He stopped. Then his eyes shot wide open. "Oh no. The stove is still on at home." He frantically searched for his phone, only to realize he hadn't brought it. Freya quickly called Emma, but there was still no answer. "Chris, Freya, can I borrow your phone? I know someone who lives right near US. I was dead to the world. When I finally woke up, I was drenched in sweat but felt much better. A cool cloth landed on my forehead. Wow, it seems living for an extra 10 years gave Chris a conscience. He actually knows how to take care of someone now. I kept my eyes closed, enjoying his service, and shamelessly ordered him around. "Feed me some water." The next second, a straw was placed in my mouth. I took a few sips, and the fire in my throat subsided. I was sore all over from sleeping, but I didn't have the strength to get up. I started ordering Chris around again. "Rub my arms for me. They're so sore." A warm palm landed on my arm. Chris's massage technique was surprisingly good, the pressure was just right, and it felt amazing. I was in heaven, letting out a soft sigh. It was strange how my usually unreliable brother was acting like such a sweetheart today. I felt a surge of warmth and couldn't help but reach out, fumbling in the air until my hand landed on his head. "You know, kid, you're really winning me over today. Tell me, what do you want as a reward?" The moment the words left my mouth, I froze. Wait. This doesn't feel right. My brother has a buzz cut. It's prickly. How is this so soft? I shot my eyes open and found myself staring right at Liam, who was sitting by my bed. My hand was still on his hair. The air turned to ice. I snatched my hand back like I'd been electrocuted and shrank under the covers, staring at him in horror. You. Liam's expression was calm. He silently re-soaked the towel that had slipped from my forehead, wrung it out, and folded it with slow, deliberate movements. "Chris is at the hospital," he said, his voice a little deeper than usual. "The hospital?" I was so shocked I almost sat up, but a wave of dizziness washed over me. Liam reached out a hand to steady me. Don't worry, he's fine. He just got into a small scuffle and has some minor injuries. Your friend, Freya, is with him. He concisely explained what had happened downstairs. I listened, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and frustration. Then, why are you here? I finally remembered to ask the most important question. Liam gently placed the towel on my forehead. The cool sensation helped clear my foggy brain. Chris called me on Ms. Fu's phone. He said you were sick at home, the stove was on, and he couldn't get back right away. He begged me to come check on you. He paused, then added, I live nearby. The reason was solid, irrefutable. So, the person I had been ordering around all this time was Liam? I even patted his head and asked him what he wanted as a reward. A tsunami of embarrassment and shame washed over me. My cheeks were so hot I could probably fry an egg on them. I pulled the covers over my head, burying my entire face. Thank you. I'm fine now. You can go now. I need to be alone. A reward. Liam spoke suddenly, cutting me off. Huh? I peeked out from under the covers, looking at him blankly. He looked at me, his gaze intense, and repeated, You said I could have any reward I wanted. No, I didn't. That wasn't me. You're twisting my words. That was meant for Chris. But the words were stuck in my throat. I couldn't say a thing while looking at his incredibly serious face. So, what do you want? Liam looked at me, then leaned in closer. I watched him, motionless, my hands gripping the bed sheets under the covers, my palms sweating. His warm breath brushed against my ear, his voice low and clear. I want you. My heart skipped a beat. To get well soon. That's it? I froze. He unplugged my phone charger from the wall socket by my bed. You should put this away when you're not using it. It can be a safety hazard. He straightened up, and I thought I saw the faintest hint of a smile in his eyes, so fleeting I wondered if I'd imagined it. Thanks. My heart rate just dropped back to normal. After Liam stood up, I noticed that the white shirt he was wearing was half soaked. He explained, I splashed some water on myself when I was getting you a drink. The damp shirt clung to his body, revealing the faint outline of his well-defined muscles. Eyes, look away. Now. Using my last ounce of willpower, I tore my gaze away from him and lay back down, staring at the ceiling with an air of zen-like detachment. Liam, since your fever's down, I'll go. You're probably not comfortable with me here. He put on his jacket. You can call me if you need anything. I nodded. Thank you. After Liam left, I let out a long sigh, my mind a chaotic mess. I turned to get another drink of water and saw Liam's phone on my nightstand. I paused, grabbing the phone to chase after him, but the screen lit up. Someone had sent him a message. When I saw the contact name, I stopped. Brother-in-law open up, future brother-in-law, how's my sister? The kid does care about me. I smiled. The next message came through. Brother-in-law open up, did you try seducing her? She's a total sucker for that. I'm going to kill him when he gets back. Liam must have realized he left his phone, because I heard a noise from the living room. I put the phone back on the nightstand, quickly lay back down, and shut my eyes. Liam came in very quietly. He picked up his phone but didn't leave right away. Just as I was about to give up my act, I heard him move. Liam leaned down, and his cool lips pressed a kiss against my cheek. It was brief, just a touch. He pulled the covers up a little higher, felt my forehead for a temperature, and then left my room without a sound. I opened my eyes. My hand flew to my chest. Oh no. My heart is broken. Why is it beating so fast? It feels like it's going to explode. The sickness came on fast, and it left just as quickly. I only took one extra day off before I was back at work, full of life. That day, I worked until 7 or 8 in the evening, finally clearing my backlog. I stretched and noticed that all my coworkers had already left. I zoned out in my chair for a minute, then got up to turn off the lights. As I passed Liam's office, I peeked inside on a whim and froze. Liam was still there. The office lights were off, and he was asleep, slumped over his desk. I pushed the door open, stood beside him for a moment, and decided to wake him up. I touched his hand, which was dangling off the side of the desk. The second time I touched it, Liam gently took my fingers in his. He sat up, his face still showing a hint of sleepiness. "Are you leaving?" I nodded. "Yeah. Why were you asleep in here?" Liam put on his glasses, stood up, and pulled on his jacket. "I was waiting with you. I won't interfere with your work. I know you don't need me to give you any special treatment. There's nothing else I can do, so I thought I'd wait here for you to finish." The expression on his face when he said this was no different from when he was chewing someone out. Just as calm. But also, somehow, different. "Let's go. Let's go home." I couldn't help but ask Liam a question I had been wanting to know for a long time. "If you liked me back then, why did you set me up with Dylan?" Liam was silent for a long time before he answered. "Because I felt insecure." That was an answer I had never expected. I looked at him, surprised. In my eyes, Liam had always been brilliant, capable, and dazzling. That someone like him could feel insecure was unbelievable. Liam said, "I'm not good with words. My personality is cold. I'm not like Dylan. He knows what to say and how to charm girls. So, when I realized you liked Dylan, I had this feeling, that it was right, that it was normal. I thought that if you knew I was the one who gave you the jacket in the library, you might thank me, and that would be the end of it. I would just be a helpful upperclassman to you, nothing more. Your feelings for Dylan were about more than just a jacket in a moment of need." I stared out the window at the city lights. "You thought I wouldn't like you, so you pretended to be magnanimous and set me up with him." "Yes, that's what I thought at the time. But I regretted it almost immediately." Liam's lips tightened. "Because watching you and Dylan together, I was going crazy with jealousy." I stared back at him, stunned. After a long moment, I said, "There's something you might not know." "Liam, what?" "Me, I'm very observant." "Liam, if you had told me from the start that you were the one who gave me the jacket, I think I would have noticed you. I would have spent more energy watching you. I would have liked you. You're no less than Dylan." Liam's grip on the steering wheel tightened. He was silent for a moment, then yanked the wheel, pulling the car over to the side of the road. "Liam, are you?" "Sorry, I can't really drive right now." He took off his glasses and slumped over the steering wheel, his forehead resting on the back of his hands. He took a few seconds to compose himself, then suddenly laughed. "My heart is beating a little fast." I sat beside him, looking down at my own hands, not daring to move. Saying those words had taken all the courage I had. "Emma." Liam suddenly said my name. "Do you want to see it?" "See what?" Liam leaned back in his seat and smiled at me. "My tattoo." "You were curious, weren't you?" This was my first time at Liam's place. It wasn't like the sterile, spotless homes of CEOs in TV shows. The warm color palette made it feel cozy, and it was very neat and tidy. "Make yourself comfortable." Liam went to the kitchen and got me a glass of water. I held the glass nervously, my fingers turning white from how tightly I was gripping it. The warm water did nothing to soothe my dry throat or my racing heart. Liam stood in front of me, his gaze calm and steady. Then, his long fingers moved to the buttons of his shirt and slowly began to unfasten them. 1, 2. My eyes followed his movements, watching as his delicate collarbones were revealed, then his smooth chest. The warm light cast shadows on his body, outlining his firm but not over-the-top muscles. My face instantly felt like it was on fire. I pretended to be calm and took a sip of water. My legs were shaking uncontrollably. Aren't you going to look? He turned around, his back to me. I looked up, and my breath caught. On the left side of his lean lower back, nestled within a design of 2 crescent moons, were my initials, CC. The tattoo wasn't loud or flashy. It rested quietly on his firm skin, like a secret carved into his very being. And in that moment, that secret was laid bare for me. I stared, mesmerized, and subconsciously reached out my hand. Just as my fingertips were about to touch his skin, his hand covered mine, stopping me. "Emma," he said, turning his head slightly. His voice was husky. "I brought you here. I agreed to let you see. But I never said you could touch." I was too embarrassed to look at him. I tried to pull my hand back, but Liam held it firm. Keeping his grip, he turned to face me. The space between us suddenly felt tight. He leaned in slowly, bracing his arms on the back of the sofa on either side of me, trapping me in the small space between him and the cushions. His unique, crisp scent enveloped me. I had nowhere to go. "Now," he said, his deep eyes locking onto mine, swirling with emotion, "it's your turn to answer my question. Why did you keep my student ID photo?" My heart skipped a beat. Of course. He had seen that deleted message from Chris. Under his intense, pressing gaze, there was no escape. Resigned, I lowered my eyes, staring at his collarbone, my voice as soft as a mosquito's buzz. "Because I liked you." I looked up, meeting his eyes. "After Dylan and I broke up, he told me the truth about the library misunderstanding. I started to pay more attention to you. I had feelings for you. But I wasn't going to tell you." I added with a self-deprecating smile, "I was afraid you'd think I was flighty, that I had just gotten out of one relationship and was already falling for someone else. So I chickened out," I said softly. "Later, in the association office, I found your student ID photo. And on a whim, I kept it." After confessing all this, I didn't dare to look him in the eye again and lowered my head. The living room fell silent, the only sound our intertwined, slightly ragged breaths. Suddenly, he reached out, his warm fingertips gently tilting my chin up, forcing me to meet his gaze again. Those eyes, usually so calm and composed, now looked like a deep sea with a fire burning beneath, churning with complex emotions. The next second, he lowered his head, and his lips met mine. At first, it was a gentle, tentative exploration, full of care but soon, the feelings that had been suppressed for so long burst forth like a flood. His kiss deepened, becoming urgent and almost greedy. My mind went blank. I passively accepted, responding clumsily. My hands instinctively pressed against his chest, the tips of my fingers feeling the heat of his skin and the powerful beat of his heart. The temperature in our little corner of the sofa skyrocketed. Meanwhile, Liam's phone, which he had tossed on the table, buzzed with one message after another. "Future brother-in-law, you have to clear the air with my sister about that damn first love. Otherwise, it's going to cause problems and lead to a divorce crisis in the future. For real. My sister really has your ID photo. She treasures it. My sister acts tough, but she's a total softie. She's easy to win over. Have you tried seducing her again? Don't be too subtle. My sister might not get it. Just take your shirt off. Show off your muscles. Trust me, it'll work. After you get married, you guys are inseparable. She's totally thirsty for your body. Brother-in-law, why aren't you answering me? Brother-in-law, why isn't my sister off work yet? What are you two doing? Why is no one answering me? Don't be like this, you're scaring me." Liam and I were officially a couple. When Chris found out, he jumped for joy at home. That's my work. I'm the ultimate wingman. When I get back to 2035, I'm gonna make Liam treat me to dinner for a whole month. At that, his energy deflated. Will I ever get back? I sat down next to him and comforted him. It's okay. You might not be able to go back, but your SATs are in a week. Chris. He grabbed his backpack to leave. I yanked him back by his collar. Where are you going? To find Freya. She promised to help me study, hee. I frowned at him. You too. You too. You weren't serious before, were you? Chris looked at me earnestly. Every word I said was true. Freya is going to be my wife. I started chasing her in college and pursued her for 7 years. She finally agreed to marry me, and then I got into the car accident and ended up here. I found it all so unbelievable. She's 5 years older than you. You too. Barely know each other, right? So what if she's 5 years older? I love her. Chris was completely unabashed. I've liked her for a long time. Freya is way better than you. She's so interesting. In middle school, some bullies were harassing me, and she was the one who taught them a lesson. Sigh, my wife, oh, my wife. Clatter. There was a sudden noise at the door. Startled, I ran over and pulled the door open. Freya was standing there, looking like she'd been struck by lightning. Her eyes darted from me to Chris, who was standing frozen in the living room. Her face flushed bright red, and she turned and ran. Chris reacted faster than I did. He took off after her. Wife. I mean, Freya. Wait, let me explain. 3 days before Chris's SATs, my mom sent me to a local temple to pray for him. My mom believes in these things, and there's no talking her out of it. Liam went with me. With the exams so close, the temple was crowded. I knelt on a cushion, praying sincerely for my troublemaking brother, wishing him success on his exams and hoping he wouldn't cause any more chaos. When I stood up, I noticed Liam wasn't outside the main hall. I walked around to the back courtyard and immediately saw him standing under an ancient wishing tree, its branches covered in red ribbons. He was looking up, tying a new red silk ribbon to a branch. Sunlight filtered through the thick leaves, casting dappled shadows on him. I snuck up and wrapped my arms around his waist from behind. What are you wishing for? To make things official. His voice was filled with laughter. He turned around and pointed to the ribbon he had just hung. On the red silk, his strong, elegant handwriting had written our 2 names side by side, Liam Sterling, Emma White. My heart fluttered, a tingly, warm feeling spreading through me. I looked up into his eyes, where my own reflection was clearly mirrored. You don't have to wish for that, I said, standing on my tiptoes to give him a light peck on the lips, a smile spreading from my eyes. I gave it to you a long time ago. He was about to say something when my phone rang. It was my mom. Her voice on the other end was frantic and tearful. Emma. Chris. Chris went to pick up his exam admission ticket today, and he fainted at school. He's at the hospital now, and he hasn't woken up. My mind went blank. Don't be scared. We're on our way. Liam's calm voice sounded beside me. He squeezed my hand tightly, helping me calm down. When we arrived at the hospital, Chris was still unconscious. The doctors had run all sorts of tests. His vitals were stable, but they couldn't find a reason for his coma. My mom was wiping away tears, and Freya had also rushed over, her brow furrowed with worry. Time ticked by in agonizing slowness. As the setting sun cast an orange glow over the hospital room, the person on the bed finally stirred. Chris's eyelashes fluttered, and he slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was foggy as he looked at the white walls around him, then at us gathered by his bed. Finally, his eyes landed on the digital calendar on the wall. He shot up, moving so fast he almost ripped out his fore. His face, far from being weak after an illness, was filled with ecstatic joy. I'm back. I'm back. He waved his arms, his voice hoarse with excitement. Whoever wants to go to that stupid job in 2035 can have it. I'm finally back. The SATs. I'm taking the SATs. My mom reached out a trembling hand to feel his forehead. Chris, honey. You didn't hit your head too hard, did you? Chris grabbed her hand, his eyes shining. Mom. I'm not crazy. I just went on a little trip. His gaze shifted to me and Liam, and he grinned a bright, slightly mischievous smile. Sis. Brother-in-law. You two are already. Hee, nice, very nice. Finally, his eyes landed on Freya, who was visibly relieved. Unconsciously, the tips of his ears turned red. Liam and I looked at each other, and we both knew. The loud, dramatic future Chris who had traveled from 2035 was gone, vanished with the coma. The person who had woken up was the real, vibrant teenager who belonged to this time. As Liam and I left the room, we heard Chris's full-throated roar from inside. I got third to last in the whole school on the practice test. Was that other Chris an idiot or what?